places now. All this beauty we have found. Oh, it's got us rising to our feet. We are running free. I'll rise, catch the horizon, feel the hope inside us. This is where we're meant to be. I'll rise, catch the horizon, feel the hope inside us. This is where we're meant to be. We are running free. We are running free. We are running. The time and place is now. All this beauty we have found. Oh, it's got us rising to our feet. We are running free. We are running free. We are running free. Running free.
Good morning, Sonder fam. It is the top of the hour on a marvelous Monday morning, and I am so happy to welcome you to your weekly setup. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I get to be your facilitator this morning, and today you have Team Jennifer on the call. So my co-pilot is Jennifer Krippner. She's coming to us from Minnesota. She is in a sweater today. I'm a little jealous of her, but we love it that we are both Central Time gals, so we always feel like we're very well synced when we get together. But we will be doing the setup together with our Sonder family this morning. Now, if there is anything that comes up that you're curious about, drop that in the chat. And Jennifer or myself, if I'm not on camera, we'll do our best to answer that question, or we may ask questions of one another. That's what I love about this time together, this community that we have in our Silk and Sonder journal journey. And so we love to share and give each other suggestions, and it's just nice to gather with one another. So yes, we are here. Hello Monday, new Monday, new week, new start, new goals. I live right next door to an elementary school, so it is literally out the window that I'm facing right now. And it is the first day of school. So there was a lot of activity around my neck of the woods this morning. I love it. I'm going to love playground time when those kids come out and play. So I know some of you have had a really big week. We've got some folks who are saying goodbye to those college kids heading back. That's always very bittersweet as we see our grown-up kids go out and conquer the world. And some of you guys are just excited to have your homes back to yourselves. Michelle says she's looking forward to her third anniversary on Thursday. Happy anniversary, Michelle. My 41st anniversary is Tuesday. And Jen and I were talking at the front end. I've got a coffee date, a little surprise coffee date where it's a tasting scheduled for my husband to surprise him in the morning. So there's something about these hot August anniversaries. So, I said I married my sweaty boy in the middle of summer a long time ago. Make sure your chat is set to everyone, that little chat window. Now you can close that if you don't want to do the chat. That is okay. The mics are off. Your cameras are off. So you take what you need here, but we do love the communication in the chat because we do support each other and we can make suggestions and help each other. And oh, Colleen says it's chilly in Iowa today. Enjoy that nice chill. When we are gathered as a community, we always share these reminders of our community guidelines because we create safe spaces for ourselves and for one another. So, if you are new here, this might look new to you. You've actually seen this if downloaded the Sonder Club app. These are the same guidelines. If you happen to be joining us for the very first time, feel free to drop a me in the chat just so that we can say welcome to you. We love when we have new community members join us. This is our accountability group. Okay, Elena's here for the first time. I hope I said your name right. And I'm going to ask you to set your chat to where it says one instead of hosts and panelists. So you can just kind of hover over that and change that to everyone. So everybody in the chat can see anything that you share today. Also, I'm trying to think if there's any other little housekeeping. It's really about, taking care of yourself when we're together. And we are working on a mind map. As you know, that is the bonus prompt for coming to this journal. And I did this setup on Saturday, and this one this week is a little, it kind of gets in some feels. So if you're ever at a social and something just doesn't feel right, you're not in the right headspace, that's okay. Give yourself permission to revisit when you are feeling a little bit better, because that number 7 on our community guidelines, we take good care of ourselves, and you are responsible for your emotions and your well-being and decisions. So we have this awesome, awesome, awesome theme of freedom. And I've seen some chatter in our chat on Sonder Club that folks are really enjoying this lens of looking at their life with freedom. This quote is actually from Nelson Mandela, and it is on page 38, the quote page. And I love it because, when you think freedom, sometimes you can go too much freedom, right? And if we had too much freedom and didn't have some boundaries in place and some guidelines for conducting our life, it would affect others in a negative way. And this quote kind of fits that. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. So if you are living that way, then it is this ripple effect that goes out into our community, our families, the people that we interact with. And I think freedom is pretty powerful when we look at it through that lens. So we're going to start off our morning with our mind map. We'll do that rosebud thorn reflection that we do on a weekly basis, and we'll set up our pages. And I have a ton of examples from Silk and Sonder family to share with you all. So if you are here for the first time, we do a mind map. And what that is, it's going to be a deep dig each week at our weekly setups about that theme. It's a bonus prompt. This is not to be found in your journal. This is kind of your extra for showing up. And again, it's a deeper dig. We take these different lenses to look at freedom and how it affects our life. And so this can be done anywhere in your journal. Mine actually is on that quote page. So I have set mine up to start. Let's see, I don't want it to blur, but to start here. And I'm doing week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 on that quote page. Oftentimes I'll do it on the very last page of the journal just because it makes it really easy to find. So, oh, Sherry, your kiddo went to pre-K. I'm so glad you made it here and that you got your little one off to school today. So that's amazing. So back to our mind map. This can be done anywhere in your journal. So last week we looked at personal freedom and what that looks like in our life when we reflected on a time when you really felt free and what were the circumstances, kind of who, what, where, when, why. And so that's week one. So if you were not here last week, but you'd like to grab that screenshot, feel free to do so. This week, we are looking at financial freedom. And we found Saturday. This is a biggie because finances affect us all. And so the prompt is imagine what your life would look like if you achieved complete financial independence. What changes would you make in your lifestyle, career, and relationships? And what steps can you take now to move you closer to that vision? So before we start digging into this, I found a couple of awesome slides for our consideration. So that week two question is up there in the upper left, but I love the idea of looking at our finances as a form of self-care. And I think maybe a year ago, I did an exclusive on self-care that was, not the bubble bath, chocolates, glass of wine, manicure kind of self-care, but like the really big grown-up stuff, like doctor appointments and, getting the budget in order and having insurance and that kind of stuff, because that truly is that self-care. So I love this graphic. And so I wanted to share it with you because as we are considering any changes we might make in our lifestyle or steps we can do now to move us closer to that vision, these are some great ideas. So maybe one, if you're not doing a weekly budget, maybe that's a place to start. Um, Always save part of a salary or part of say monies that come into your house. The bottom one on the left of this graphic, it's okay to spend sometimes and treat yourself. And y'all, this was huge for me. If you've been with us for a while, I've told you, there are some of these themes that really stick with you. Indulgence, we did that like December before last. Oh my gosh, it was life changing for me because I grew up very much financially insecure and was never allowed treats. That was not okay. There was, divorced parents involved, no child support, just so I was very, very much made to feel like it's not okay to spend. So that bottom one is huge for me. There is freedom in learning how to treat yourself and not feel guilt with it. Keeping a log of the money you spend. Do you really have a picture of what's going out? Sometimes when you start writing down how many to-go coffees there are, it's like, oh my goodness, like that's 4 tanks of gas, or right? You start tracking that. Set your goals and celebrate when you achieve them. And then remember that self-care in any form is a process. So this isn't going to happen overnight, and you don't have to do all the things, right? So I love this graphic. It feels like a very gentle approach to finance. Now, I've got another great graphic that I found. And you might want to look this one up. I'll go grab that link and drop it in while y'all are working on this prompt. It's from 3 Steps to Stop Freaking Out About Your Finances, and it's from a place called the Hell Yeah Group, and it's all about common sense finances. It's like by a bookkeeper and lots of different blogs that just make sense. It's not all this pie in the sky stuff. But you've seen pyramids where you start at the bottom, you get that bottom built, that base structure, and then you work your way up through the top to the top. So if you're in a place where you're trying to figure out your financial self-care, then focus on those things at the bottom and then move up to the top of the pyramid, and that sort of gets you set in the right direction and helps you prioritize, to look at what your life would look like if you had like this financial independence, this freedom in your financial life. I've thrown in a couple of other quotes, but I also just want to say, I am fortunate in that we stopped using credit cards 6 years into our marriage. We were just we were done. We felt like they were taking control of our life. And so, we've been mostly debt free for the majority of our marriage, and it has been freeing. I'm not saying we haven't had financial issues, but it's things that we've learned together. And some of the stuff, it's still an everyday practice. And one of the biggies for me is avoiding the lifestyle creep. In other words, really finding contentment in your personal life and not being influenced by, advertising and social media. And I think that is so hard today, that lifestyle creep. We try to live below our means, and we just said goodbye to, we have credit cards, but we use them kind of like a cash card. And if we can't afford it, then we try to make a plan. And that's helped us kind of have this conscientiousness about how we're spending our money. And one of the big things for me is delaying the gratification, like putting things in the cart and waiting and going back 24, 48 hours later and looking at it and considering it. And if it's still feeling like, yeah, I do want that, then I don't feel so bad because I gave myself some space to really process. So, but those are things I still have to think about every single day. So let me stop talking. I'm going to put on some music. I'll go back and forth between these slides so that you can grab this information, take a screenshot. You do not have to complete this mind map question today. This could be something that ruminates. But I'm going to suggest, if you're in a picture of like, I don't even know what my financial freedom could look like, go small, take small steps, a small bite, and maybe just choose one or two things as the stuff is popping into your head. And I'll be back to check in with you. I can see the chat scrolling along. So, yeah, it's been mulling over, Michelle, without even thinking. So, yeah, really, I always say marinate in it. And I'll be back to check in with you. And feel free to share, ask questions, let us know about your journey, the things you've learned. I'll be back to check in a moment. Okay, I know this one is a little tricky because our financial self-care is hard. It's like one of the, I would say one of those grown-up things. And I've often laughed, oh, Nicole, take a deep breath. Don't panic. Little baby steps, right? That's what this whole life is all about. We're figuring this out. And I so appreciate that Alexandria said she needs to quit looking at her accounts like they're bad report cards, right? It's a piece of information. It's giving you that. It's about setting goals. I know someone else shared the smartest thing they ever did was sit down with a planner, like have somebody help you. And I think that's for me, the financial insecurity and not having those tools. And we took a couple of classes, and you may feel behind, but inflation, absolutely. But you're doing it day by day. And I've laughed because we are on a relatively fixed income. And it's like, well, how do you live on a fixed income when everything is rising but your income? So again, we don't have to have all the answers today. We can take this in little bits and know that if you're doing one good thing for your self-care, your financial self-care, then you're taking that step forward, right? That is the main thing. Like you'll take a picture. I think one of the best pieces of advice I could give that I tell my kids, just track. And when you start seeing where things are going, just a big long list, and I still track to this very day. I track everything that we are spending, and it's all in categories, and I can see because there's not a lot you can cut back on when the economy has this inflation, and yet there's more going out than is coming in. But be good to yourselves, right? That's the number one thing. And remember that, you're in control of this tool. It doesn't feel like it sometimes. It can get big. So that's why I said, this one, take little bites, be gentle with yourself, consider it part of your self-care. And again, how often do I track my spending? Megan, the minute I spend, I come home and enter it in this little spreadsheet, and it is old fashioned. It is a chart and I write it in. And that way each month I can see what did we spend on household expenses? What did we spend on grocery expenses? And where we need to cut back. And really the only place we can cut back anymore is our restaurant entertainment line because everything else is kind of fixed in place, right? Um, but you figure out what works for you, right? You figure out what works for you. But I am a big tracker, and it helped me get that financial picture. So I don't know. Maybe we need to dig into this basic home accounting. And it is hard. It's again, it's one of those self-care things that is not necessarily fun. Like a visit to the doctor is not fun, but it's self-care for sure. So again, you don't have to have this all figured out today. This is something to just start thinking about through that lens of freedom. And I did drop that article link in the chat. I'm dropping it again. I thought it was very sound, reasonable advice. If you don't have a plan and you're trying to create one, go check out that article, but also just that person's website. So anyhow, thank you for digging into this. Again, it's a little scratchy for a Monday morning, but it definitely can show up in how free we feel, right? So let's stop and take a look, a reflection back over this past week. On page 36, you will find your your rosebud thorn reflection. I may have just created your thorn. I'm sorry for that. So your roses are those things that are bringing you joy. You're here right now. If the finances are feeling a little icky, maybe this is a bud for you this week. Like I'm going to put into place one thing. So your roses and buds are those wonderful things, the things that have happened that you're celebrating. The buds are the things that you're looking forward to, things that are maybe kind of down the pipe. It could be as simple as a new day, a new week. And then the thorn is exactly that. It's not fun. My rose is that, I had my two bigs grandkids last week, the 6 and 3-year-old, and we ran all over town and made all kinds of memories. We call our kind of care camps. We call them Camp Grand Happy. And so we had them, and I have all three today. My husband is currently occupying them in the living room. They may come crashing in a minute. My bud is I keep a big primary to-do list with all the things, the house things, little things, big things, and I updated it. So that's my bud, but that's also my thorn because there is a lot of stuff that I've just let fall through the cracks. I said I'm going to get the Eisenhower matrix going after that list so I can prioritize and start working on that. I'll be sharing a graphic of that Eisenhower matrix later. If you've ever seen that. So let's work on this. I'll be back to check in with you. Please share those things we can celebrate together and drop those thorns in if you're comfortable, and let us just kind of embrace one another, put some good stuff out into the universe to know that we're not by ourselves as we're dealing with those thorns. And I'll be back to check in just a few moments. Thank you all for sharing. There's some great things happening. Some things are as small as I was in my house by myself for just a little while. That's always awesome. And we have those things that are standing in our way, things that are like Danielle just said, too much screen time. The things that we probably need to think about taking away, doing less of, putting that maybe as a goal or a to do or something to track this week. I appreciate you all being candid as you were comfortable sharing in the chat and allowing us a little peek into your world, and just know that you've got your Sonder family supporting you. So let's now move forward into our brand new week, which you're going to find on pages 40 and 41 as we set up. Goodness sakes, I don't know where time is going, but yet another week. Here we are. So I know we've got a couple of folks who are new. I've got this whole list. It's not exhaustive, but you're going to see lots of ideas for repurposing some of the spaces in your journal. Now, you are invited to use your pages just as they are. And I've got examples of that. And I've also got examples of how people have maybe repurposed some of these sections to better serve their own lives. And I mentioned, I'm a gardener. That's one of my retirement hobbies that I'm pretty passionate about. And so, like the spring and the fall, I usually repurpose a section with all the garden tasks as I, put new things in the ground, and I track what I'm doing and what got fed and when, and if it rained, and so I'll make a garden tracker. But I don't use that year round, because like right now there ain't nothing growing outside. It's so hot and dry. So, I take what I need for those periods in our lives. So this is that first page of our setup that we're going to do. And you can see, folks, I use this is my favorite pen. It's just a little Sharpie ultra fine tip black pen. I love this pen. There's something about a grown-up finding just the right pen. Am I right? This is what I use every week. I'm not huge into stickers. I just take what I need for my journal, but there are folks who love stickers and they get their creativity out that way. So you do you in what works. And you can see there's just, a couple of pages. They look a little bit different. Colored pens, colored pencils. You can throw stickers on there. So let's start breaking these sections down and taking a look. And we're going to start today with, how do you want to feel? I think a couple weeks ago, as we were wrapping up the month, I saved this for last as kind of a reflection to the week. But this week, we're going to start off with how we want to feel. And again, there's not a right way or wrong way to do this. You can choose one word, a quote, stickers. Look at all that word cloud. You might have a word that's jumping out at you. Jennifer's already dropping in the chat. She says, I want to feel centered this week. Maybe you've got a sticker with a couple of words on there that captures how you want to feel. I have written in mine this week, especially because I'm celebrating my 41st anniversary. I want to feel loved. I want to feel celebrated. I want to feel cherished. And so I'm going to try to manifest those feelings and give those feelings back to my husband. So feel free now to think about what your week is going to bring to you your way. You can do a feeling a day if you'd like. You see that graphic there that's kind of in the bottom toward the left. They're going to do a feeling for each day, maybe you've got a real important meeting and you're nervous about that on Thursday, right? So that might be your Thursday. I want to feel calm, right? Because you know that that's coming. So again, not a right way or wrong way to do this. Maybe there's some quotes. Maybe you use the quote that is actually in our setup this week. Above all, be heroine of your life, not the victim. Maybe that's your word. So I'm seeing hopeful and motivated. Oh, yes, Denise, we want health for you. She's going to recuperate. Michelle says she wants to be happy, low stress, carefree, accomplished, needed and wanted, organized, prepared. Organized is a lot of the times mine. I feel like I'm constantly trying to get things in order. So we're going to take that feeling for the week, and now we're going to look ahead into our weekly 3 major goals. Reminder, it doesn't have to be 3, it can be 1, it can be 4. You take what you need. You might want to go back and visit that intention page, page 9. What did you intend for August to look like? Go look at those. Is there a place on your intentions page that you can bring into your goals for this week? We want to make sure that we're utilizing those intentions that we worked on. And so that might be a good check in for you. Um, we talked about financial freedom this week. Is there a goal or two that you want to start embracing for that aspect of freedom in your life? What is not serving you? Maybe there's some things that we are saying no to, and that becomes the goal. Lots of our folks will do a single personal challenge. So it might be a week of financial, right? Financial goals or rest or health. And then a lot of folks like the three categories. So you just plug a goal in for three different categories. I've got some ideas to share with you. And if you had a word of the year or you did a vision board, go back and check with that every now and then and see if there are goals that can be pulled from those, because those are important to you. You chose those things for a reason. So again, ask yourself, what is my why this week? And you can see here are some great examples from Sonder family. There is, if you look on the left, there's those three categories: a mind, soul, and body, and goals for each one of those. The person in the middle is going to do a daily check-in with their three major goals. And then the one over there on the right, healthful is the word. And then there's three things that tie directly into that. Again, some more ways of setting this page up, taking those words that you've chosen, bringing them down into your goals. Don't worry, I will be going back through these slides so you have time to get a screenshot if you see something that speaks to you. I'm a big fan of taking those goals and then pulling the to-dos out of those goals so that you do this, this, and this to make those goals happen. There's a couple of examples there. The one over there on the right, upper right, the frog, fresh and fun. So a goal for each one of those things. And the frog is like that saying, eat the frog or eat the toad. It's the thing you don't want to do, but you're committed to it. And then you can also repurpose this space. You don't have to set goals. Maybe you're just using your intentions page coupled with your habit tracker, and that's how you're meeting goals. And so this space could be repurposed in a number of ways, as you can see in that little box there. And I have mentioned routines are tricky for me since I'm not working a traditional outside of the house job anymore. Every once in a while, I have to shore up my routines. And so I put my morning routine in my three major goals, and I put my evening routine in my shopping list. And so I have those on that spread so that I'm seeing them on a daily basis. And that's how I repurposed that space. Now, we were talking about the goals, and sometimes your to-dos will tie directly into those goals. So this to-do space can be set up in a number of ways. A lot of folks like to do the little categories like the things I need and the things I want to do. Maybe you can see a daily to-do list, maybe some tasks that are needing to happen, like dust, water plants, clean out the fridge. You can see the one on the bottom right. It's a school list and a personal list, which could be, very helpful right now as we're kind of kicking in back to school. You take what you need. I had mentioned the Eisenhower matrix. This is that tool. I'm going to use this for my, that big to-do list so I can start prioritizing. And then from that list, I'll probably add some to-dos. Now, I put my to-dos in the Monday through Sunday, those dailies. I do daily to-do lists, and I leave this space blank and make it a to-do list, which you see a little description of that down at the bottom. And I just celebrate the extra things that I do. I get a little hit of those good, hormones, the cortisol and those good things, the serotonin hit for writing down my accomplishments. So I'm kind of diving in to celebrating those extras that I do. Again, some ideas. Maybe it's a to-don't list. Are you going to lean into that financial freedom? Are there things that you want to cut out of your life? So perhaps that becomes what your list looks like. So let's put on some music and work on these two spaces. Share as you're comfortable what you're working on this week, what your goals are going to do. Put it in the chat. Let us know how we can support you, what you'd like us to, how can we cheer you on as you set those? And I'll be back to check in just a moment. Okay, now it's time to drop down to that bottom habit and activity tracker. And, we've got the big tracker at the front of our journal with all the things that we plan to do most of the days of the month. But we love this one because it allows us to change things up according to the week we're having. Carpool is starting. Is it your day to do it on Monday, Wednesday, Friday? You can put that here and circle those days. Love the idea of thinking about micro habits, those tiny little things that you can do that do indeed have a ripple effect into the other areas of your life. So there's a fun little graphic with some micro habits. Things like, what does it look like if you can find 5 minutes to sit silently? Maybe there's a way to do that before, the kids get put to bed. And then you have this ripple effect that you've calmed yourself, you've been intentional. And then that, of course affects the rest of the evening. Or if you can declutter one little space, what that looks like for you and how that makes you feel and how that ripples out. So consider, these small steps as we look at our habits and activities. Here's a number of ways that our Silk and Sonder community has set this space up. And you can see, I want to just remind you, you don't have to fill out every line here. Maybe you only track or do two or three things. Maybe you only do a Monday through Friday tracker and you give yourself the weekend off. No one's grading this, no one's checking to make sure all the spaces are filled. So give yourself that intentional grace of taking what you need in this journal. You can see in the upper right, someone's got like a couple of days circled to make sure that their shower happens. When you circle those days, that's just that commitment. It'll help you kind of stick with it. There's another great example there down on the bottom right, and they've gamified by setting these goals 5 times, 4 times, 3 times, 2 times, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It just makes it a little more fun. Again, hitting some of those happy things, the dopamine and the serotonin for all the good reasons. The one in the middle left is going to do some things that happen a couple of times a day. So they've split those circles. And again, you can set a goal or you don't have to set a goal. Also, love this one at the upper left because it all points back to the other areas in your journal. So it's that reminder to check in with the mood tracker, the habit tracker, the sleep tracker. Maybe you put your intentions page on there and look at your intentions. So again, it's about taking what you need. Let me put on some music while you work on this. If you're looking for some ideas, there's some other ideas, and I'll go back and forth between these slides while you complete this part. We've got our habits and our activities in place for the week. And now it's time to go ahead and scooch over to that other page. And this is that page that gets repurposed a lot. So we may put our meal plan type things. Maybe you end up doing just your main meal and you put this in the mind body health plan. All the examples I'm going to show you could easily be plugged into any of these areas. And our co-facilitator, Katie Gideon, always likes to call this page the B side. Like you have a record, a vinyl album with A side and B side. This is kind of that B side. So here's a couple of examples from our Sonder family. And I just wanted to show you the one on the left is kind of fun because they've taken some of those stickers that are now offered through Silk and Sonder, and they've created that self-care bingo in their mind body health plan. And then in their shopping list, they've just put those 5 daily reminders. So that's a lot of fun to be able to take those stickers. Those stickers are from like that evergreen pack that has like 2,000 plus stickers in it. So you might find ways of utilizing that. And then you can see the next page, someone's added some, it almost looks like, bigger stickers or post-it notes and put in those spaces. So let's take a look at this meal plan. And I always say you can use this as a tracker, as a planner, as someone is going to do like the macros and really lean into looking at proteins and net carbs. So this can be used in a number of ways for your nutrition needs, if that's something that you do. I actually track my food on a tracker on my phone because I try to get the protein in. And so I just write in my monthly habit tracker every night. I record how much protein I had that day, trying to make sure that I'm making that goal. And I use this space for my affirmations right now, but I've used it for a number of other things as well, because it's just these big, beautiful spaces that we love. So there's a whole list of some ideas and then some examples. Clothing plan, the meal plan for my soul. I know I've talked about this many times. I love that idea. And then here again is some more great ideas and some of the like wins and achievements to do that reflection every day. But you may choose to put your wins and achievements in the shopping list because you're not using that space. So it's very interchangeable to do what you need. Shouting out to those little water droplets. You could use these to track all the fluids you're intaking. And I love the idea of color coding, brown for coffee or chocolate, hot chocolate, tea, the water's blue, lemonade could be yellow if you're really wanting to make sure you're getting your hydration in. Sometimes folks will use this as other types of check-ins. So you can see the one on the left, I feel calm. And just that little, periodic check-in. You could do a little check-in each hour if you're working on a certain thing that you're trying to notice in your mood tracker. Maybe, I feel calm and you just check in at the top of the hour for 8 hours of the day and kind of check in with by using the water droplets as a tracker. So you can get creative with those water droplets if you're not using them on the regular. Mind body health plan again can be filled out in a number of ways. You can see, some folks are dividing it up. Some, it could be a small journal reflection. I'll go back and forth through these slides, so don't panic. If you see something you like, grab a little screenshot of it. It could just be this list. I love the idea of 5-minute self-care ideas for busy people. I've done this self-esteem journal response on a daily basis many times. This is a little go-to for me. And then someone else is using it as a prompt a day, and just kind of writing, as you can see, 3 positive of the day. What is your journey? What do you love? I found this graphic, thought this was kind of fun. I know a lot of folks are getting back into this new rhythm and routine with a school year start. And maybe you don't work outside the home, but this is something that you could do with friends. You could pull a couple of these things off each day. Grow a plant on Mondays, join a cause. There's just a lot of really good things on here. So if you have a group that you interact with in any way, you could maybe bring them on board for that. I just kind of liked the things that were on there, wanted to share with you. Doing the alliteration days is just a fun way to set your days up. What does a flashback Friday look like for you if you were to lean into that? Do you do something a little retro to get nostalgic? Who knows? Our shopping list, again, lots of ideas for repurposing. Silk and Sonder family is so creative. We've got lots of bingo boards that happen here. I had mentioned earlier that when I shore up my routines, this is where my night routine goes, and you can see an example of that there. I love the idea of a bingo board. It's just fun, right? It's just fun to check those things off. The social check-in, I think that's so critical. It reminds us that we're all in community with one another. And so just, somebody refashioned this for a social check-in. I was actually inspired to put a social check-in to my monthly tracker, and I write the initials of the person that I interacted with that day. And I was inspired by that particular graphic that was shared by someone in Silk and Sonder. Jen is dropping, maybe you kind of make a bingo board about your financial freedom this week. And then finally, what are you loving? And that can just be anything at this very moment in time. For me, it's just being involved in, I call my little three grandkids the Ogle threes instead of the Ogle V's. So life is grand with them. I'm going to stop talking. I'll go back and forth through all these slides while you work on this page. If you repurpose, drop in the chat what you do, or maybe something you tried one time that didn't work for you. Like share that inspiration because it's very helpful for one another. And I'll be back to check in. I love that Crystal realizes she shared that good things happen when she takes time to thank God, pray, and chill. Just that reminder to all of us to pause, to take some deep breaths, find freedom in the moments. I'm so glad that you were here. I want to remind you, you're going to come across your currently page this week. Take a moment, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and do this reflection kind of mid-month check-in with yourself. Go back and look at your habits and your intentions and give yourself permission to make any changes in that habit tracker or those intentions if the month isn't panning out the way you would like it to go. Give yourself permission. Just change it up in the middle of the month. It is okay to do that, to take what you need. Don't feel guilty over something that's not happening. It's that story is that picture is telling you a story. If you've got a bunch of blanks and something you had planned to do, it's not the right time. So let's find something that you can celebrate and be proud of. We would love to see any of your setups or sections in Sonder Club. We are inspired by you, and you may see your examples show up in one of our slide decks. Just remembering to take a look. Meha had done a founder ask of you. You should have received an email about this coaching. If it's something that you are interested in, you can definitely email the team at hello@silkensonder.com. Especially if you feel like the price point is a little hard to do, feel free to reach out and see if someone is able to offer you some help there. And then there are those QR codes. We share them every week so you can refer a friend, upgrade to your annual subscription. Jen is dropping all these links for all of these things that I'm mentioning in the chat. And you will also receive a follow-up email. Be sure to save that YouTube link because it is a private group so that you can access that. So let me grab I think somebody said they would like to have my play. I'm on Spotify and I have all these Silk and Sonder playlists. And so that's the link to my freedom list. And I am just so proud of y'all for joining Jen and me this morning as we set up for another great week of freedom. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for being here, Sonder family. I wish you wonderful things.
I spent my whole life trying to fit into a lane, but I'm so over it. I watch my friends fall out of love and go insane, bet on life and lose the game, so I'm quit. I never wanna be